Perfect.
Oh, wow.
Excellent. Well, I will also start by introducing myself. My name is Trista Heavey. I'm the Director of Alumni and Corporate Relations. And so I have been setting up some sessions with alums who have been thankful and really wonderful, reaching out and saying, I'd love to help and assist. And so these are some speaker sessions, and we want to stress that this is very interactive. So if you have a question, if you don't feel comfortable unmuting yourself, you can leave it in our chat feature and we can always respond to those. Otherwise, feel free to unmute and ask your questions. This is very interactive. We have some questions and things that we would like to talk about, but feel free to chime in. So I will start just by introducing our alum today from the MSBNA graduating class of 2018. So we have Safwan Saif, and he is going to share with us his path as an international student and his, kind of first steps leaving Eisenberg, but also his general career path overall. So thank you so much for being here. I will just start with a question so we can learn a little bit about you and really how you joined the MSB program. So tell us a little bit about, how you came to Eisenberg, what your background is, and really what made you start to think about coming to the MSBNA program.
Thanks a lot, Trista. Thanks for having me. So just a bit of background would be, so obviously I'm international, so I'm from Bangladesh. I finished my high school from Bangladesh, then I actually went to Finland for my undergrads. And the reason I went to Finland because they didn't have any tuition fees, so that was like, an easy pick, and they offered courses in English as well. So I finished my undergrads there. I did it in digital marketing and finance. Then I went to London for a year for my internship. That is where I kind of got into analytics, because doing digital marketing, I did a lot with Google Analytics, Google AdWords, all the digital advertising, the resources, Facebook Insights. There are other resources where you look into web traffics and sources and all that. So that was my introduction to it, and I really got into that. Then I did go back to Bangladesh, where I worked as a social media manager for agencies, and also went on to become, I got promoted and I led a location. So I had about like 2 years of work experience before coming here. My wife, my girlfriend at the time, we went to the same high school. She actually came to US. She was studying in Columbia, in New York. So after a lot of back and forth, I wanted to get a master's and get more into analytics. So we got married. I moved to US, and I was looking into a master's program. Initially, I thought I would do an MBA, but when I came across this program at UMass, I was like, this is perfect. This gives me a master's. This gives me the skills I need to learn in analytics. It's 1 year and it's STEM. As an international student, STEM was big for me. So yeah, it checked all the boxes for me. So I applied. Luckily, I got in. So it was a year program. I finished. I joined Oracle after that, very soon. And then I was at Oracle for 1.5 years. And then very recently, I joined Google for their YouTube team. So that has been my journey. So as you can tell, it's not like I have like decades and years of experience in my bag. I just graduated 2 years ago. So I'm not an industry expert or anything. So keep that in mind. Everything I say will be just my experience and what it has been through. So like, I'm sure there are other alums who have much better experience and more experience than me. So keep that in mind, and don't take it as Bible. That's what I'm trying to say.
But I think a lot of our students are in the same place. They came into a program, they have a few years of experience, and they're pivoting, right? So they're pivoting to another career, they're pivoting to a different organization within the US. So I think that's some really valuable information to share. One question that was posed by one of our students was, how did you transition, or what was your process for transitioning for life in Amherst And what were some of the hardest aspects for you to get used to?
Yeah, I saw the question. It was interesting. Like, I don't think I'm the right person to ask that, but so as you can see, I was in Bangladesh, then I was in Finland, then I was in London.
Yeah.
Then when I went back to Bangladesh, I went to another place. So the change has been very constant. Then I was like, even when I came here, I was in New York. Then I went to Boston. Now I'm back in New York. So in the last 6 years, I've never been in one country for more than a year. Like,
wow.
So I wouldn't, I can't say specifically. I was just telling Trista before the session that for me, it was hard because I never had a concept of college towns before, what it means. Like no one outside of US does. So that's tricky. But in terms of adjusting to new places, I would just say that it's definitely hard whenever, and if for some people, it's the first time they're moving away from their families. That is hard. I do see that. But Amherst, I think it's very homely because, you know, when you come to Amherst, everyone there, you already have a whole bunch of people who are also the first time your batchmates, the freshmen, right? It's all new to them. So I would say, and everyone is like, you have a common connection being in the campus and having that campus life that you're all in the same boat. You have a common connection to it's kind of easier to make friends. I would say like try Antonio's, like become a fan of that, your food, and pick up some new skills, which I think is you discover a lot about yourself when you're living by yourself for the first time. Explore, don't just stay within Amherst, go to Northampton. It's a nice place. There, explore a bit more. I think, like look at it as an opportunity. I feel that, you know, whenever you get a new life, you might stay here, you might not stay here. It's a part of the world that you're exposed to, and you have a kind of more freedom. And when studies get too hard, there are places you can go. I think looking at it that way is easier, at least for me. And keep in mind that most of your families, if you're not international, they're not that far away. You can, you have that support. If anything happens, you can always go back.
It's very true. And definitely lean on your cohort. I know, a lot of our students will say, adjusting to the winters or adjusting to certain things. Like I just really needed to know and ask my cohort and my peers for, where do I go for this or what do I do for that? So I think a lot of it is also adjusting and reaching out when needed.
Yeah, I asked my friends the same thing, like how does the winter and everything. That I would give everyone the same advice they gave me, that in Boston, Amherst, there's 2 seasons, construction and winter. Just deal with it. That's what they told me. But it's not that
good bad. Advice. That's good advice. Thank you. Okay, so one of the big questions right now is obviously we have a lot of people who are looking for internships or applying to positions and thinking about what are those next steps. And we, I know that it's incredibly daunting, but especially as an international student, I feel like you have to do so much more work and put in so much more time. So I would love to hear about, kind of your journey and applying for jobs and thinking about where you want to be and kind of any tools or tips you can provide.
Sure. I'll actually take a step back and speak from the MSB. I'm sure there are people from other master's program here as well, but I'll just touch on the MSBA a little. So the MSBA was people who are trying to get into analytics, but at the moment, I don't know how it has changed, but the MSBA program doesn't make you a data analyst or a data scientist. So you would not, if you don't have a background in that, just doing that program will not give you that career path. Yeah. So there are 2 ways you can look into that. If I heard that there's an analytics concentration for MBA as well. So there are 2 ways you can look at. You continue on a business roles, but you want to, but any business role nowadays, you have to be number savvy, or you have to crunch some numbers or have some analytics. So you can use that as a extra skill in your bag, that extra in your quiver, that I have better spreadsheet skills, Excel skills, that I can do in my marketing position or my sales position. That, or you do get like the SQL course and the advanced Excel. These are like really good courses. You build on that by your own, or you talk to your professors who like, yeah, I would like to pursue this a lot more, and they are very good with, they can give you more projects to do that you can do, and communicate with them, and you do start a career within that analytics side. That's what I did. So first of all, so you need to come up with in your head that what kind of career you want to pursue. That's the first step that you need to take. Like, I'm going to be in a non-technical role, but it will be like, yes, I will be very hands-on with crunching numbers in Excel. I'm not going to do any coding or any analytical work, but spreadsheets and all those I will do. That's one path. And then there's like, okay, I'll build up my SQL skills. So first, do that. So that's the first step. Secondly, I would say now is the time to build your LinkedIn network. And I'm sure there are a lot of other resources, but LinkedIn has worked perfectly for me. And by this LinkedIn networking, I just don't mean that build up your profile, reach out to people. That's obviously something you need to do. That's a given. But what has really worked for me was all the companies that I was interested in, I connected with the recruiters before graduation. Connect with as many recruiters as possible within the companies you want, and also within the departments that you want. So there are analytics or marketing, engineering, business insights, whatever departments you're interested in, connect with as many people as you want, as you can. I would not want. And then send them messages saying that, hey, I will be graduating in a few months or very soon. This is my profile. I'm looking for advice and trying to network within these companies because these are one I'm interested in. Applying online hardly ever works. So that's how. So building before that has been like, has gotten me the most success. People don't usually like if you just reach out to them, hey, I'm trying to get this job, can you help me out? But everyone in LinkedIn knows that when you're trying to work with them, you're trying to get in, and people are mostly appreciative of that. But they would be more appreciative if you have been building a relationship before. That's how I got my job at Oracle. That's how I got my job at Google. It's with people I have connected with like 6-7 months ago before. Another thing that I would say is it's extremely important that you have a brand in LinkedIn, which means that you are sharing posts, you share content, so that you are in people's minds. So when you have a bunch of people, recruiters in your network, you have people in companies that you want to be in. When you're sharing interesting content, when you're sharing about, it doesn't have to be work related. It's just about your personality. So it just keeps them in their newsfeed, and they know you. So when they're looking for someone, they would be like, yeah, I know like Mark or Judith. I've seen them post about this thing. I know they're an MSBA or MBA graduate. Let me look into their profile, ask them if they're looking for jobs. So, and one of the harsh realities is that like 80% of getting a job, unfortunately, is being at the right place at the right time. You can have all the skills, but if you're not in front of the right people and not at the right time, it's not going to work. When jobs open up, most of them, they are looking to fill it up very soon. So, and they just gather some people and there are a lot of qualified people in the world. So whoever just gets able to get in front of them gets it. So to summarize, LinkedIn, build your network, share content, share about your passion. It doesn't have to be work related. Your causes you care for, things that you like, organizations that you like, initiatives that you like. So that will help you be in front of everyone.
That's great advice. Absolutely. And, I think about soft skills and emotional intelligence and those relationships that you can form, because it's so it's so easy when you connect with someone on LinkedIn, and especially if it's someone you obviously want the job for, to say like, do you have availability? Are there positions open? Like you naturally want to, but
Yeah.
I think taking that step back to really say like, I need to show them who I am, and I need to, you know, really have this relationship formed before I kind of, you know, move into that angle. So I guess my next question would be, when you applied to positions and then decided, I know you went to Oracle immediately following MSBNA, what made you go to Oracle, and kind of what was the process like from your first job directly out of your MSBNA program?
Sure. So Oracle was kind of like a weird situation. So I, like, just a week before I graduated, I was offered a position, not at Oracle, at some other company that was in New York, and they said, okay, your joining date is like a month later. Long story short, just before, like 3 days before I was supposed to join, they rescinded the offer. They said, oh, I'm sorry, we have some changes in the company. We have to rescind the offer. So as some of you may know, for international students, you have 90 days after graduation to find a job, or you go back. So I only had like about less than 30 days left to find a job. So I was frantic. I was applying to every position that I could. Very, very luckily, one of the networks, one of the people that I connected with, which was actually an Eisenberg alum, Pam McPherson, who is now a VP at Oracle. She just shared one of Oracle's job postings, and we talked before, and I reached out to her on LinkedIn saying, hey, I'm looking for a job. And it was a sales position. I was not interested in it at all, but I needed something. And it was a great company to get your foot in. So I reached out to Pam. Pam connected me with the recruiters. I went down for an interview, did the assessment, and I got in, luckily. And so that was my first step. And it was a sales role. I didn't like it at all. So what was fortunate was that when I went in, there were room for me to improve some of the reporting processes. So I took it on because my idea was that I'm going to change from this position. I'm going to go into a role that I like. So I kind of took on myself to do the reporting for myself. Then I took it from my team. Then it kind of went broader, and I created Excel templates and some presentations, a Tableau visualizations of some. So within 4 months, I was moved to an operational analyst role. So that was very, very fortunate of me. And obviously, I understand that you have to be in a company that has that bandwidth. There's a lot of, like, Oracle has a lot of people that they can move people around and have positions open, or they just can create a position. So that was actually that happened. So I was an operational analyst for a while, but my wife was still she's doing her PhD at the moment at NYU. So I was trying to get a position in New York because I was staying in Burlington, Boston. So then completely randomly, one of the people that I've connected with like almost a year ago from a Google recruiter just reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, hey, we're looking for an operational specialist. Are you still interested? And I was like, yes. And then I went through the whole process, and then I got in, and I was very lucky to get that. And that was a person that I interacted with a lot, in the sense that I share a lot of like puzzles on LinkedIn. I like doing all that. And she was also very interested in that. So we would like go back and forth doing those puzzles. She would do some puzzles. So I think that kept me in her mind that, okay, Safwan is someone that I can reach out to for this position when it came up. So that's why I feel like building those branding is important.
Yeah, absolutely. I have probably 1,000 more questions, but I just want to give everybody a moment. Does anybody have a question they'd like to unmic and ask before we proceed with any other questions? Okay. Feel free to jump in if anybody has some. So my next question would be around, as international students, I hear this a lot, that there are a lot of postings online and obviously ways of filtering international students out with domestic only, and that can be really frustrating. Did you ever feel like you were in this place where you felt that you applied to so many positions or you rejected for so many, or went to job fairs and they had like, you know, international students need not apply? How did you kind of navigate that, especially the online digital bots that I think are programmed to obviously do that? Any insight and kind of advice, or how to not feel so discouraged by those experiences?
Yes, that is like, and I still face that with it. So I went to 2 job fairs in Eisenberg, and every booth that I went to, they were like, sorry, we're not sponsoring at the moment.
Yeah.
That was it. And then I applied to more than 400 positions on LinkedIn using the LinkedIn function buttons.
Wow.
And like zero, no reply from anyone. Because when you click the box that, yes, I would now or in the future require sponsorship, that is just something that doesn't happen. So that is why I feel and it also came up when I joined Oracle. It also came up when I joined Google. It's something I'm still fighting now with Google, and with this pandemic, it's becoming more difficult, but that's another story. But one of the things that helped me was that the program was STEM. So I had 3 years. I'm eligible for extension. So I could work for 3 years without and sponsorship. So that's what my first place, like, hey, we have 3 years to figure this out. Let me like prove myself. And, you know, this is not something we have to worry about now. You have at least 3 years. Let me work. So that is the way I navigated through this. But I know that not everyone has that. So it depends a lot on your situation, what kind of background you have before, how many years of work experience you had before. But that's a lot of things work. But just a general advice, I would say that try to, and it might sound sneaky, but it's really not, like, don't make that the first point of conversation. Try to push that back, like talk about your skills, talk about your position, talk about your qualifications. If there's an assessment, try to get through the assessment. If there's obviously interviews, get through that. Once you have proved that you are a qualified candidate, then this is going to come up. And another thing is, people who are actually hiring managers really don't care about it. The problem is with HR, because HR doesn't want to deal with, and it's not their fault. It's not their HR knows this is something that is going to get stuck in the system. So that's why HR keeps them away. But get in front of the hiring manager and be like, this is, you know, prove yourself as a candidate, then the hiring manager will fight for you. Like, yeah, I don't care. They have a year or so to figure it out, you know, hire them. And they said they don't care. So my first would be like, get your foot in the door. Yes, they might. When I joined Oracle, they said they would not sponsor me for that position. But I still went in because I know, like, if I'm looking for a job, it's easier to look for a job while I already have a job than, you know, looking for a job that I have nothing at the moment. So get your foot in the door. That's what I will say. That really helps. There are a lot of non-technical roles that doesn't sponsor, but are still willing to take you in. Start there. And don't just, I think by not getting despondent, I would say that don't just go for position that sponsors. Get a job. That's the first step. Get any job you can. And there are business roles, sales roles, marketing roles, which you might not like, but having a brand name or a company name or an experience, and you can always talk about how you can share. And you never know, your skills might be transferred in that company and you get into a different role. And if you can prove yourself and you become valuable to the company, then they would want to keep you and make exceptions on, okay, how can we keep this person if this person requires sponsorship? So that, but I have been there myself. When you're applying, you do have to check that box. That is very, very difficult. So, but it's just something we have to deal with. And I wish I could say there's like a magic, one that, you don't have to deal with it. You definitely have to deal with this. But everyone, like, finding a job is difficult. So again, that's why connecting with people, explaining them their situation, so that you're not just an offline application, and you're not even an online application. They filter it out, so you don't even show up.
Yeah.
So going to people is the best way you can do. And LinkedIn to me has been the best resource to actually talk to people.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with you as well. So I know that you're an analyst now for YouTube Music at Google. And I know that we have other individuals who are either interested in analyst roles or Google specifically. I think we just would love to hear about what you do and kind of what your day-to-day is like, and anything like to share about your role.
Sure. So first of all, if you are looking to become an analyst or becoming an analytics role, like, the two skills that is like absolutely necessary, and the only two skills that will get you a position, is first is SQL. And Eisenberg does a great, the Tracy Hess. She's an excellent resource. She gives you the basics, and that's basically what you need to go from there. I would say get the SQL basics done, and there are tons and tons of online resources where you can just build your own projects. It's not hard. SQL is not like hardcore coding. So that's something it looks like it, but it is not. It's just a way of speaking. It's language. It doesn't have any weird syntax. So build your SQL skills and build your Excel skills. Those are two hard skills if you can show. And the best part is it's very easy to show those skills. You can just build some project, put it online, and you can just attach the links to your resume. So I have my SQL project, my Excel project, and my Tableau dashboards links on my resume. So people can just click on that and see, okay, this is what this person can do. And those are absolutely necessary if you are looking into analytical roles. So that's the first advice. And in terms of what I do is I am part of the YouTube music team. So if you all go to YouTube now, you'll see this annoying pop-up says that, hey, try YouTube Premium 30-day free trial. So skip trial, I'm sure everyone presses skip trial. I do too. But my job is to make sure that, so YouTube Music is kind of a competition for Spotify and Apple. So what they're trying to do is get people who are already using YouTube, listen to a lot of music at YouTube, say that, why are you using Spotify or Apple Music? You can just get YouTube Music, where you get all the music and also the covers and the videos, all of that with the same price, $9.99. And if you get YouTube Premium, which is also $9.99, so YouTube is like, if you pay $9.99, you get all of that. And you can also watch YouTube without any ads. And you can also like close the app and listen to the music. That's their spiel. But obviously it's difficult because Spotify and Apple Music, they're both great products. I use Apple Music myself. So my job is to find out, like, there are a lot of, what are consumers doing with YouTube? Who are the people that are listening to music? What kind of music they're listening to? Where are the demographics that people are using? So let's say someone 80% of their YouTube time is listening to music and covers, and they have some channels. Why isn't that person getting YouTube Music? Like, it's so much more convenient for them. So trying to understand those trends and analytics is kind of what I do. Then there's also another side, which is, so YouTube also obviously buys a lot of content from the music distributors, like Sony, Universal, Warner Brothers. You do have to pay them. So they also ask for reporting on, okay, how is our content? So let's say there's a new Taylor Swift song that was published. Where was it played more? What was the demographics? Which countries, which part of the world? What time was this? What other channels are they subscribed to? So those are my kind of day-to-day work that I do.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that information. And we have someone who said, and students have lower rates too. So
Oh yeah, I didn't actually know that.
look at that. Does anybody have a question that's online and would like to chime in? Feel free to unmute and ask a question.
Hi, Trista. I have a question.
Hi, Ruchi. Jump on in.
Hi, Safwan. Thank you so much for this. This is really very helpful. So as you said, like SQL and Excel are like two important skills. I just want to know like what kind of keywords should we have on our resume or in our LinkedIn profile? Because I have like 3+ years of experience with SQL and Excel, and I really don't know what specific keywords I should be using that highlights my profile.
The keywords would be Excel and SQL. Like under your software skills or technical skills, just have SQL and Excel. That's what the application tracking systems look for. So having just those words would be fine. But I would also say, like, if you can do a project, online projects, have links to that. Build out an SQL. So because having SQL or Excel is very ambiguous, everyone has that on their resume. But like, how much do you actually know is what people are looking for. So if you can just attach a link, they can click on and see, okay, this is the level of, so this person knows how to do a pivot table or a VLOOKUP. That's like very simplistic. So that's what we're looking for. That's great. Or SQL, oh, this person knows how to join tables,
okay,
or how to do complex analysis or regression analysis. So it's very easy, and that makes you stand out, because for people who are hiring, they don't have to find out if you know these things. They can just see you do.
Okay, thank you. That helps.
No problem. Take care.
Excellent. Any other questions? Okay, I will ask another question. So this question is in regards to your experiences in the US market after getting your job, and kind of what motivates you to do your job and go to your work and kind of do what you do day to day.
So right now the motivation is free food. I'm sorry.
Everything's about the food.
But no, I feel like, so I've worked in I worked in Bangladesh, in London, in Finland. US is something I would say, it gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of, in a good or a bad way. It's not very stringent. I'm sure there are companies which are, but as a work culture, US is not very stringent. And if people do things differently, or do things, when I say differently, I mean, do things that they're not supposed to do, help out other people. I would say that's the more thing. It's more collaborative. People, accept help and all that. So which opens up opportunities for you to do things outside your job description and show your skills outside your jobs. And that's what I felt when I was in sales. I had no reason or rhyme to do the reporting for our team. Like if it was, I was doing it somewhere else, like, hey, concentrate on your job. This is not your job. So those things help you to portray your skills, that there are other things you can do. You can take on more responsibility. So US is very good in that. And in terms of motivation, I think that's like a very poor question. Like, people have different motivations. I like, YouTube is something I listen to and I can relate to, and I like the team. But I would say this, the motivation mostly comes from the people you're working with. I highly believe that. You can have a great job, but if you have like a shitty boss, your life would suck. You want to be working in a place that you go to enjoy. You like talking to your coworkers. You like going to lunch with them. Your boss appreciates you. You feel like you're making a difference. Those are the things. So, like, motivation for work is it's like a big part of life, right? I don't want to get too philosophical on this, but definitely, if you're working with good people, you'll feel motivated. And I don't think it's specifically what job you're doing. Yes, that's obviously help. If you have a great job, even if your coworkers suck, you will still go in. That's, I think, the difference.
Yeah, that's great advice. So another question would be, if you were to, what would you do differently if you were to go back to the MSBNA program? Are there things you would have done or changed or have taken advantage of, or any class recommendations, maybe like you wish you took this elective, anything you'd like to share about that?
Yeah, I would say that what I mentioned, I like for MSBNS specifically, I would say we built on SQL a lot more. I think if that's a very, very, very sought out skill at the moment. If you even if you're not going for an analyst role, but if you know that, that gives you a huge boost from other candidates, because everyone is using it, and if they have someone who can, that'll be something the company would value. So I think what we did so we started the course with an Excel course, and then throughout the course we were using Excel in our different capacity, um, for the other classes. I think the same could have been done or would have been better if it was done the same way. So we get SQL and Excel basics, and throughout the rest of the year, we build on that and use that every day in our all different classes. So I think that would really, really like prepare everyone to go and get in the job, and okay, I have pretty good hold on SQL and Excel, that I can start my job. So I would change that.
Great. So you graduated in 2018, so you've been out a few years now. Is there anything now on your horizon in terms of training or professional development or coursework that you're looking at or thinking about doing to kind of sharpen your skill sets?
Yeah, so I do a lot of LinkedIn learning. So LinkedIn learning courses are great. And it basically depends on the job you have. So when I was in Oracle, we worked a lot with cloud applications, in healthcare. So I was involved in the healthcare industry. So I do a lot of those. Uh, so in terms of generally what people can do to, help their career, I would say if you don't have hard, like SQL skills, build on that. If you have SQL and Excel, that's great. Then you should do a project that helps you, an online process that you can showcase. That is, and again, their LinkedIn comes in again. You can share your project and build on that. Ask for advice from people. They would interact with you. Get on those things. If you are interested in specific, so let's say you're interested in Google and you're interested in Google's AdWords. How does it work? So then there are AdWord certifications you can get. There are search engine certifications you can get. So I would say be strategic about it, and get something that is relevant to the field you're working on. And there are tons and tons of resources out there. But like general advice would be get something that is tangible. I know, like, I by no means I'm downplaying that, oh, I have a certification in leadership, I have a certification in that. But the good and bad side of it is because there are so many things, everyone can get a certification. So that doesn't really speak to what you can actually do, right? And leadership is something I don't think like a lot of people take seriously, that how can you do an online leadership skill assessment? It's like one of those BuzzFeed quizzes. So get something tangible. Okay, you actually have to learn hard skills or tangible skills to get this certifications or get this project. So work on like those are the things that you should be going after.
Great, that's good advice. When you, either as a student or now, were there any or are there any LinkedIn groups or online associations that you're a part of that you would recommend kind of being engaged and immersed in? Are there any discussion forums or things like that that you would recommend for everybody?
100%. I would actually I don't have everything on top of my head, but I would be happy to send you one, a
Sure.
list of the groups and everything that I work with. So Then there are career advisors, and there's also like fresh graduate forums where people are posting new jobs that are going into. Then if you're looking into, there are international communities where they post about jobs that do sponsor or hiring international people. There are recruiters who specifically hire international, although it's mostly software developers, but it's a good place people to connect with, and there are forums for that. Those are some things that you should definitely, and I'm sure everyone knows about the Eisenberg alumni associations and all that. Definitely be part of that. Those are those resources. And also, if you are interested in very specific companies, then there are groups which are like how to prepare for. So One Salting is one of the, so it's one WON Salting. So that's a group who help people, non-developers, to get into tech companies. So yep, One Salting Shop knows that. So they help non-technical people to get into tech companies. So there's a lot of good resources out there. They hold webinars, how to interview, how to showcase your resume, and all that. So definitely. So I'm sure there are other resources, but I have honed into LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is, I would say, right now the best resource you can have. So find your niche, find what you're passionate about, build a network. It doesn't have to be like build quality over quantity, have 30, 40 people in different industries, but build a relationship with them, be in their newsfeed. They would know that, okay, this person knows about this thing, shares content, interacts with our content. So when there is an opportunity, they would reach out to you.
That's great. That's some really great advice. And I feel like we've touched upon so many different areas. But before I kind of post our last question, I just wanted to put it out to the forum. If there was anything else anybody had, feel free to unmute. I know, Vanita, you just unmuted. So if you have a question, feel free to put it out.
Yeah, hi, Safwan. Just a general question about what's happening right now. I know it's not something we're prepared for, but what's the general feel out there with companies regarding internships and generally hiring in all kinds of roles?
It's a mix. I and like it's like I have my sympathies for, because this is a difficult time to be in, especially for graduating now. But there are a lot of companies who are still, and some companies have stopped their summer internship programs and others, but there are also other companies who have started new positions because they were not ready for remote positions. So going remote has actually opened up a few more job vacancies that they need now. Amazon's still hiring, Slack is still hiring, Spotify is still hiring. And so you can see that, if there are job postings on LinkedIn, these are people who are still hiring. And the good thing is now they're hiring online. Everything is going online. So if you can reach them online, get on their radar, they have a lot more time now to go through all of these. So yeah, I would say that in terms of finding a job, with this pandemic, there are silver linings to it. So people are doing everything online. So you can reach them online. But yes, there are companies which have stopped hiring, but I wouldn't say that this pandemic has made it difficult to find like a job right now, but it has definitely made it difficult for internationals at the moment, because the whole sponsorship situation is on hold. So that is very true, and I don't know how to get around that. But in terms of hiring, there are companies who are definitely still hiring.
Great. Thank you. Anybody else have another question?
Hello.
Hi, Mark. Go ahead. Ask your question.
Hi, Safwan. Do you think I can get the discount on that YouTube music? I'm just kidding. But my serious question is, what is your advice for someone trying to break into the business industry? Because for me, my background is like all over the place. I was a teacher, and then I joined the Air Force, not really doing business, and now I'm doing like I'm starting Eisenberg MBA. So what's your advice for someone trying to break into? Because I know you mentioned SQL and all these other things, but is there something in particular that would help people like me?
What were you a teacher of?
I was an English teacher overseas.
Okay. And then you went to the Air Force?
Yes, and I'm a training manager at the moment, just kind of like training people up about certain certifications that they need.
Okay. And are you in the MBA program or MSBA program?
MBA, but I know that there's like similar
Yeah, of
things.
course. Do you have a concentration yet on your MBA?
I do not. I'm still thinking about, but I am leaning towards finance or marketing,
Okay.
but still undecided.
So I'm assuming you are more interested in the business side than the analytics side?
Yes.
Okay. I would say, first of all, there are some really good, I would send them to Trista later, for people who are coming from service or have been in the military trying to get into the job. There are excellent forums for that where they hire people like you. Secondly, I would say with your background, you should, like, project management is something that comes to mind. That's someone who has worked overseas, managed people, being a teacher, being in Air Force, handling project management is something that with an MBA like yours is something you can look into. And so, like, lean strategy, agile, scrum master, these are certifications you can get which are for project managers. Lean Sigma, if you can get those are very hard, like very sought after credentials people look into. And someone coming from the military with that discipline, I think that would give you the best chance to break into the business world.
Wow, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. There are a lot of project managers. Everyone's always hiring project managers. So someone in the military would be always a good project manager.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look into that discount, Mark.
Now we all want the discount. But yeah, I definitely would agree with you too, Mark. And we were thinking about transferable skills and thinking about, what your takeaways from each position and really what they meant and how that's going to move you into your next, kind of career pivot. Very important. So I guess it is 2:48, and so we have about 10 more minutes, and I just want to throw out a very broad question, Safwan, which is really, is there any, obviously this is a unique situation, but is there any advice that things that I haven't asked or that you'd like to discuss or advice that you'd like to provide to anybody before we kind of end our session today? So leaving it up to you.
Sure. First of all, like, I think at this moment, like, prioritize your health, prioritize your family's health, help people around you. This is not a time where we should prioritize other things. But at the same time, I'm sure there are international students who has a clock. It's very, very difficult for them. They have to prioritize that. That is a very difficult situation to be in. So my advice would be now that build your brand, like, in these difficult times, show people who you are, share on LinkedIn how you can help other people, get involved in people who are doing work or causes that you're doing, and that helps you build the network. And that's, don't just do it for the sake of doing it. I'm sure all of us care about some things, would like to help the nurses, the people in the front line, other communities, raise funds, everything we're doing. Get involved in that. That will help your brand building, because this will be genuine. You're not reaching out to anyone for getting a job. If you are doing something by yourself, take an initiative. It doesn't matter how small it is. If you are, if you're helping out international students in Eisenberg, you make a community for that, share that, do that. This will help you. And obviously keep applying, and it is, like I said, 80% of it is being at the right place at the right time. So I know there are jobs when you read it, it feels like, oh my God, I have all the skills. I have done all of that. It matches exactly my profile. And you never hear back. That's very, very demoralizing. But we have to push through this. Finding a job is hard. Keep at it, and be grateful for what you have at the moment. A lot of people don't have that. So use that. This is a time where we can show who we really are as people. And I think that also helps you build your brand on LinkedIn if you share that. That would be my advice.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you so much, Safwan, for joining us today. And I will connect with you on if there's any resources you want to share with people.
Yep.
I can certainly put that out so everyone can expect to connect with me or look for this information. I'll certainly distribute. But I really just want to thank you for your time today. And it was nice to catch up and talk to you online and hear about all of your experiences. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I hope it was helpful.
Very, very helpful. So thank you, everyone. Be safe. Enjoy the rest of your day. And again, thank you so much, Safwan.
Take care. Bye, everyone. Stay safe.
You too. Bye.